It's me, it's TRG, the Ramblin' Gambler. This is Casino Kombat BootKamp. Yes, we spell combat and BootKamp with a K. BootKamp is the gambling concepts from my Casino Kombat podcast, explained in short, detailed segment. It's the podcast stripped of the stories and the jokes, just the gambling basics. BootKamp can serve as a review for podcast listeners or as an introduction for those just learning about the podcast. In this segment, I'm going to walk you through understanding the house advantage and learning a game with a very small house advantage. By the end of the segment, you will know how to play a couple of games correctly and know what game to learn if you want to give the house the smallest chance of beating you. Disclaimer, gambling in casinos can be a fun and profitable side hustle. I've documented that in my main podcast. It can also be a problem for some people. Don't use any of this with money you can't afford to lose, and if you need help, find help. In the first segment of BootKamp, I explained the core concepts of Casino Kombat. Learn a game with a house minimum advantage. Learning a betting strategy that includes both progressive and regressive concepts. Having a bankroll of money you can afford to lose that is large enough for the size of bets you choose to make. Getting a player's card from the casino. Having the discipline to win a set small amount of money and leave, or losing a small amount of money and leaving. And in the end, trying to win the month, not the day. If you do lose the month, you make it up with comps and gifts from the casino. In this segment, I'm going to explain what the house advantage is as a concept, and then what the house advantage is for various casino games. With the exception of poker, sports betting, and the odds bet in craps, the rules of every casino game are constructed so the house always has an advantage in the long run, which is to say, they are always going to make money. Poker and sports betting don't provide much in the way of casino rewards, so they don't really work well with my Casino Kombat strategies. Craps with the odds bet can work with my strategies, but I find it boring and less reliable than other options, and you need a big bankroll to make it work. But it can work. Let's explore exactly how a house advantage works using a simple coin flip as an illustration. Your chances of picking the correct outcome are 50-50. The coin can only land heads or tails. A full fair payout for this is $1 for each dollar wagered. So a casino generally won't run the game, since there's no way for them to make money. In fact, they would lose money paying for the dealer, the lights, and the security. So if this imaginary flip-a-coin game was a real casino game, if you bet $1 and picked heads, the house would take your dollar if the result was tails, and pay you something like 80 cents if the result was heads. The missing 20 cents from the correct 50-50 payout would be the house advantage, and the advantage for this imaginary game would be 20%. The house would expect to win, or keep if you will, $20 for every $100 wagered at the game. Let's look at real casino games now that you understand the idea of house advantage. In my state, the law says that slot machines must pay out 85%. A house may choose to pay out more, but not less. This is monitored by the Gambling Control Board. So on average, every $100 spun through a slot machine will pay out 85, and the house will keep 15. Of course, any individual could spin $100 and win nothing, or spin $1 and win thousands or more. But at the end of the month, the house will be keeping $15, or maybe just a little less, for every $100 spun through the machines. Another way to say this is that the house advantage for slots is 15%. So are slot machines a minimum house advantage game? Let's find out if there's something better, or worse. On a craps table, there are many bets that you can make. And as I said, the odds bet after a point is established is a fully fair bet. No house advantage. The other bets range from a house advantage of 1.36 to 16.67. Now think about that. At a house advantage of 1.36, the house is going to keep $1.36 for every 100. That's a much smaller advantage than we saw with slot machines. In fact, that's a fairly small advantage to try to overcome, either with wagering system or with just good old-fashioned luck. Let's look at roulette next. The house advantage when betting even or odd, black or red, 1 through 18 or 19 through 36 is 5.26%. Not as good as some of the craps bets, but clearly much better than a slot machine. And while craps is a complex game that can be intimidating for beginners and requires a large bankroll, roulette is a very easy game. Literally just pick any of the bets I mentioned above and make it your forever bet. Like my forever bet is black. It's the only roulette wager I ever make. Add a wagering system that has progressive and regressive elements, and you are giving yourself a chance at success. Baccarat is even better and just as easy. There are only 2 bets to the game of Baccarat, player and bank, and you don't really need to know anything else about the game to play it. The dealer does all the work. The house edge for the player bet is 1.24. And for the bank bet, it is 1.06. So if you play Baccarat and bet bank, your expected loss is $1.06 per $100 wagered. Again, add a betting strategy and a plan for leaving when winning and leaving when losing, and you are really keeping the house advantage to a minimum. So there, promise made, promise kept. You now know how to play an easy casino game with a minimum house advantage. Play Baccarat and bet bank. Baccarat is the easiest game to play with a minimum house advantage, but there is a casino game with a much smaller house advantage, and that game is blackjack. Played correctly using basic strategy, the house advantage is less than 0.30%. That's correct. Your expected loss playing blackjack correctly is 30 cents for every $100 wagered. Now I know some people are intimidated by blackjack, but you don't need to be. Basic strategy charts are available online, and you are allowed to use them while you are playing. Just print the chart, take it with you to the casino, and play accordingly. In my Casino Kombat podcast, I discuss blackjack basic strategy regularly and in much more detail if you want to learn and understand more. So there you go. You know what the house advantage is in various casino games, and you know how to play Baccarat and bet bank. And that has a very small, beatable house advantage. And you know that blackjack, played using basic strategy, has the smallest house advantage of any game in the casino. One word of advice: don't take this information and decide that you are ready to go beat the casino. To give yourself the best chance of success, you need to use the rest of the Casino Kombat techniques for money management, having an exit strategy, and getting the free stuff that helps cover your losses if they occur. I'll be teaching all of that as part of the BootKamp series for YouTube. If this was useful and or interesting, I'd really appreciate it if you would decide to subscribe and join the squad as a casino combatant. If you would like to learn more, the next segment in the series explains progressive wagering. Thanks, everyone.